Hey there guys, it's Salis, and welcome back to Gaming Outside the Box. This week we're going to be doing a double feature. I'm going to bring you the unboxing of South Park The Stick of Truth Grand Wizard Edition for the PS3, along with an I'm Bad at This review of South Park The Stick of Truth for the PC. So, without further ado, let's get this thing open and see what wonderful treasures it holds in store. So here we have the box for South Park The Stick of Truth Grand Wizard Edition. As you can see, it's quite a substantial little box. And let's see what we have coming with it just on the back of the box, shall we? As you can see, it includes the game, obviously. The Ultimate Fellowship DLC, which is what I got with the pre-order on PC anyway. A hand-drawn map drawn by Eric Cartman of South Park. And of course something else I got on my collectible shelf, the Grand Wizard King statue. So let's get this box opened up, and once again in the interest of time I have enlisted the services of Steve. Oh, there's actually no tape on this, it's just packing plastic, that's fine. Don't blame me, you all said you wanted to see me fight the packaging. The reason, by the way, I'm not showing you the front of the box is because you can see the statue through the front of the box. I don't really want to spoil it for you. Oh, there is tape, okay. Haha. Steve 2, tape 0. Okay, so that just all folds off the back. Okay, fair enough. It's a very fiddly box, I'll give it that. Let's just crack her open. I'm trying not to damage the box, that's the problem. Just give me a minute. Aha! The box is opened. Okay, this is actually really cool. Let me just show you this map a second. This is Eric Cartman's hand-drawn map of South Park, which I intend to get framed because it's actually so fantastic. Turn it around so you can see it. What's interesting about this map is it's actually drawn, quote unquote, on construction paper. And if you don't know why that's significant, the early episodes of South Park, particularly season 1 and I think 1 to 3 were shot this way, were stop motion animation on construction paper. So I think it's really cool they've actually included a construction paper map. That's really, really nice. And some of the details, like the UFO crash, and of course you've got the Tower of Peace. Oh, it really is something to behold. This is totally getting framed. Next up in the box, we have of course got the game, and if you're wondering why I have this as well as the PC version, this was actually donated to me for this exact reason, for an unboxing. And as you see, the game is standard PS3 fodder, so you know, it's quite interesting that this game got released on last generation console but not this generation. It's kind of weird, although it has been in development for quite some time. Excuse me another minute. Because this is the one thing you've all been waiting for. The Eric Cartman Wizard King statue. as you can see, this is actually quite a big statue. And it even comes with its own accessory, the little Eric Cartman wizard staff, which is cool. Personally, I think this is well deserving of its price. I mean, its price is normally £80, or your original equivalent. And honestly, it's not been a bad little collector's edition. And don't worry, once again, if future me is anywhere near smart, he will include photos of the statue around about now. So this is pretty damn good. You've got a really nice map, you've got the DLC included, you've got the Eric Cartman statue, obviously. And I think it's fantastic. I really do. Well, let's see how the game holds up, shall we? So that was South Park The Stick of Truth Grand Wizard Edition. And you may all be wondering, if I play on PC, why didn't I do an unboxing of the PC Collector's Edition? Very simple. The PC Collector's Edition is not available for purchase anywhere in the UK. And anywhere that's stocked, it would not ship here. So, thanks a lot. But it is quite a good collector's edition. I like the construction paper map. I think that's very, very appropriate given the type of game that this is. And also I found out that the Cartman statue has posable arms. So you can actually have the staff in any position you want, as long as it'll fit within the realms of the statue itself. And the staff can be held in either left or right hand, although if you're going for canonical accuracy, you put it in his right hand because Cartman is right-handed. So, with the unboxing out of the way, let's get on to the review, where I have the pleasure of announcing to the YouTuberverse, South Park, The Stick of Truth. I'm bad at this.
Before we begin, I would just like to state that the following review focuses on the PC version and not the console version which you saw in the unboxing. I am, after all, a PC gamer primarily. This version does not have as much censorship and features some of the scenes that were removed from the consoles, including 5 anal probes and 2 abortion sequences, so just be aware. The style of this game mimics the show perfectly. I'd even go so far as to say it looks better than the show. Every character is presented in HD, and even the environment is just as true to the source material as the characters. And this even goes down as far as the rats that live in the city. And I have to say, I really like the design of Canada in this game. It was hilarious. And since that's about all I can say, considering the game is based on a TV show which started life as a sheet of construction paper, like I said, there's not much you can say about that. But I can talk about how certain design choices have impacted the game. The costumes used for the main characters, Stan, Kyle, Kenny and Cartman, seem to ape the latest series of the show. So we have stuff like the Wizard King and Princess Kenny, etc. However, at times these costume choices seem out of place. Most of the jokes in the game, especially the sight gags, are just references to the very early series of the show. Although, the new series character designs have made the combat quite fun, especially Princess Kenny's unicorn stampede, which I creased myself the first time I saw that. The player's character is built from a pretty good character designer with a variety of options, and you can further customize your character as you go through the game, and you pick up various wigs and facial customizations like tattoos and beards. Personally, I created a character that dressed in all black with long red hair over his left eye and a bruised right one. Of course, I didn't realise how fitting this would look later on. The sound used in the game is fantastic. The music is really funny, be it the background music in the town featuring the vocals from none other than Eric Cartman himself, or the jovial flute music on the ranch. The music is always themed well and can be quite funny in places, especially the chiptune version of the Canadian national anthem, and it's great to see how much commitment the voice cast had to this game. The original voice cast came from the show, it's mostly still Trey Parker and Matt Stone, and they still voice all their characters. So between the superb voice acting and the music, as well as the trademark South Park musical sting used at the start of each chapter, it really makes you feel like you're invested more in an episode of the show than playing a video game. The one thing that impresses me most about the sound is it's an entirely new script and fully voiced. Unlike some previous attempts at making a South Park game, which only really used sound bites from episodes of the show, so kudos to the devs and the sound team on that one. The game also features an interesting style of gameplay. This game uses a JRPG style, but unlike, say, older JRPGs, the random encounters reminded me more of Ni no Kuni than, say, Final Fantasy, since you can see the enemy approaching and you can try for the first strike. Although, unlike Ni no Kuni, it's a lot easier to get that first strike. The game is laid out in the town of So4uth Park with a small section of Canada, and if I had to compare the size of the town to any other game, I would say the game world is about the same size of Hyrule from Ocarina of Time. And as you explore the town, you meet other characters, and you can find various side quests to complete to gain EXP, and sometimes just to laugh at, if the jokes are to your taste. And of course there is a good selection of story missions, but sooner or later it all comes down to this friendship is magic bullshit. You see, the real focus of the game is to get friends on Facebook, and I'm not exaggerating here, they actually call Facebook by name. And other characters post statuses for you to read, and for one particular character, I won't name them so you can find out, removing them from your friends list is quickly becoming priority 1. And to encourage players to seek these friends out, perks are given at milestones, such as increased melee damage, increased health, etc, etc. But enough about general gameplay, let's focus on my favourite part of it, the combat. This kind of snuck up on me, because I wasn't expecting the combat to be fun. Because in true JRPG style, it is turn-based. But it has one minor real-time aspect. In order to block some of the attacks, you have to time your blocks with every enemy strike. And the same goes for your attacks, although I will point out that blocking attacks that come in rapid succession, such as one particular enemy type's curb stomp ability, is very hard. You have to time your strikes for maximum damage, and your special class-specific abilities have either a timing-based button combination or a pseudo-quick-time event to pull them off. So, there is an element of skill involved in the combat. Of course, it helps to level up and have appropriate gear and stuff, but you can still get your ass whooped in the best gear if you screw up the timing. Of course, later in the game, your leveled up skills become essentially unstoppable. I played a mage, and the top mage ability exploded for massive damage, hit all enemies on the screen, set them on fire, and ignored all armor and shields. So this was a little ridiculous. Perhaps mages are just OP, but I haven't tried out any of the other classes. Other classes are Fighter, Thief, and Jew. Again, not kidding, there is a class called Jew. But either way, the challenge in this game seemed to go down as I got further into the story. I did notice some inconsistency, because story quest bosses are very easy, but the side quest bosses are hard as nails being driven into my eyes with a diamond hammer. Fortunately, however, you can hold off on side quests until you've had some time to practice the combat and leveled up a bit before you come back to them. Some parts of side quests are gated off, in fact, until you've progressed enough through the story. Probably for this very reason.
Hey, spoilers! We don't take kindly to your types around here.
And where do I begin with the story? The game opens up with the prophecy of a new kid coming to town, to end the war between the humans and the elves, and the Wizard King seeks to recruit this new kid for humanity before the elves can claim him for their own. And to protect the Stick of Truth, for whoever controls the stick controls the universe. This soon rolls out to reveal it's all a giant LARP, consisting of all the kids in the town, specifically the boys. As a new family moves into town consisting of a mother, father, and their son who is a mute autistic who can't remember what happened to him in his past. And once again, I have to point out that they actually point out the player's character's mute autistic traits. So this is not just an inappropriate joke. Honestly, I hate having to clarify myself to the PC police. But back on topic. He quickly befriends Butters, Paladin and Royal Protector of the Wizard King, who introduces him to the rest of the humans, who he also quickly befriends, and no matter what name you use to introduce yourself, Cartman will always rename you Douchebag. I even tried it out by putting in the name Cartman, and he still renamed me to Douchebag. So, Douchebag joins the Kingdom of Cooper Keep, or the KKK as they call it. Again, PC police turn off the sirens, and is embroiled in the war to protect the Stick of Truth. And after he beats Clyde in training, as Cartman banishes Clyde from the void of time and space. But on his first night in the new town, Douchebag is abducted by the visitors. But since he has mastered his own asshole, he escapes, saving my personal favourite South Park character ever, Randy Marsh, who follows you around the town, keeping you involved in the alien conspiracy. Meanwhile, the alien ship is leaking green fluid that changes every living thing it touches into Nazi zombies for some reason. The other kids don't care about that, of course, because the stick is gone, and neither the humans or elves have it. So between various conspiracy plots, fartist training, and hunting for the stick, you eventually realise how they are all connected. Because Clyde has built a giant doom fortress without anyone noticing for some reason, and he stole the stick while the humans and elves were fighting over it. And he plans to harness the green goo to create an army of the damned to conquer the Earth. Beginning with his first creation, and the most proudest achievement, Zombie Chef. But even after you beat Clyde, you learn it was not over as Princess Kenny steals a stick for her own purposes. And the tale of douchebag's past is revealed. For he is the legendary chosen one, the Dragonborn, again called by name, who can make friends on social networks faster than any other person on Earth, and the US government plans to weaponize this ability. How, I don't know. There's also this running joke about a gentleman's rule regarding their farts, which does eventually get a payoff, but it's a bit predictable. The game seems to be one big joke, and when I say joke, I mean the kind of self-referential humour that would come with South Park, and it would only really appeal to fans of the show. But even then, it doesn't get a laugh so much as it gets a thought of, oh, that's from this episode, or oh, I remember that. So in a way, this many references and in-jokes is a self-defeating concept. Especially since, as I said, one joke is used 5 times, and becomes very stale very fast. And even if you exclude all of that, then all you're left with is fart jokes and shit throwing. So unless you're a fan of the show, or you're really into bottom of the barrel jokes, I can't see this being too compelling for too long. The Stick of Truth is entirely 2D, and the controls do work well, although saying that, there were some things I had issue with. The body swapping system seemed a little obtuse at times, and having to cycle through farts and abilities one by one does get a little annoying, but I suppose it's not too bad, it's just a sign that this was originally designed for consoles and not PC. Still, the body change system is a little awkward, and the lack of a sell all button when selling junk to shops slows the game right down at times. But still, they're not game-breaking things. The closest thing we have to a game-breaker is the combat block. I found you had to activate the block a split second before the indicator shows up on your screen sometimes. Again, particularly with attacks that come in rapid succession. But still, once you get used to them, the controls are fairly good. As for the handling, I did encounter some very strange bugs. Despite getting a very smooth frame rate, from time to time, the picture would get really messed up. Scrambled character models, big solid blocks of colour where there should be a town, and stretched images all over the screen. And these didn't just last for a few seconds, I had to enter an area that forced a loading screen to fix it. The worst offender of these bugs was when a certain enemy had the ability to clone himself, and every time he did, the game spent a long time focused on the floor of the combat arena. Literally, this thing just filled my screen. And this is a major letdown for the game. As I have said, it handles very well. Granted, the game is locked at 30 frames per second, but in the case of this game, this isn't a letdown, because firstly, given the animation style, a lower frame rate is a bonus. And secondly, it's trying to be more like an episode of the show, which is broadcast at 30 frames per second. So it goes a really long way towards making the gameplay fit the cutscenes very well. But when you beat the game, and not the funny troll ending I found out you can get if you decide to not comply with some of the dirty work, you are faced with the question of replay value. And since this is an RPG, there isn't really much of it except for good old-fashioned OCD 100% completion. But there are some tricky side quests that will probably take longer than the story. So there is some replay value involved, but as with all RPGs, it's limited. But perhaps the replay value comes from leaving it in your Steam library for a while and just playing the story again later. as is the case with many RPGs. So, in conclusion, South Park The Stick of Truth is an entertaining little game, marred only by its need for pre-initiation into the universe, and of course a tolerance for lowbrow jokes. There were a few issues that could hamper the game and perhaps interfere with the experience, but for some players it's still very enjoyable and challenging. And it's a good RPG and a fantastic example of how to take a non-interactive media like television and make it interactive in gaming. Take note, Family Guy, Back to the Multiverse. And with all that said, and of course me being a fan of the show goes a long way towards this, I give South Park The Stick of Truth 7 out of 10. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed my double bill spectacular of gaming outside the box, and I'm bad at this reviews. And so, until next week, I've been Salis, and screw you guys, and get home. In case you didn't know, I'm going to be at EGX Res this year at the NEC in Birmingham. March 28th to March 30th. I hope to see you there. Remember to come and say hello. I don't bite. Unless you want me to.